Hello and happy Monday. So this Monday we have a question from Lisa, and Lisa wants to know about using AI and training. So here's Lisa's question. Hey Marie, I am curious, what do I need my L&D team for if I can just go into an AI software, for example, ChatGPT, and just say, customer service training, and then it spits out a training for me and I can just use that. What do I need them for? Is that a place where I can cost save? Wow, that's a lot, right? Okay, so Lisa, great question. What I'd like to do is I'd like to answer this question actually in story form with 3 stories. Story 1. Oh, and before I begin the stories, let me say that I've changed the names of the guilty in each story. So here we go. Story 1 is around the automotive industry. So I have a friend who has a friend who kept hearing this knocking in her car and decided to take it to the mechanic and have the mechanic look at the car. So the mechanic looks at the car, and we'll call the person who goes to the mechanic Claire. So Claire takes the car to the mechanic. The mechanic does a diagnostic, tells her, here's what the problem is. And for whatever reason, Claire decides she doesn't like that answer. So she goes into her AI software and then starts typing in, here's what I heard, here's what's going on with the car, here's the make and model of the car, what's wrong? So AI spits out something for her. She immediately calls her friend, who we have the friend in common, and says to her, see, the mechanic was wrong because here's what my real problem is. And my friend, hearing all of this, goes, wait a minute, there's no such part on a car. That can't be wrong. That doesn't exist. And the friend's like, well, no, the AI told me. And so therefore it has to be real. So they're arguing back and forth. And she says finally, okay, look, why don't you take that back to the mechanic, say to him, here's what I was told by AI, and then hear what he has to say. So she does that. And the mechanic's like, there's no part on a car, ma'am, that's this part. This is not the correct answer. We did a diagnostic. He walked her through what they did, even suggested to her to go to another dealer to have them do the same thing to prove to her that what he said to her was true. Well, she is now conflicted because AI told her one thing, the mechanic is telling her another thing, and her friend is telling her to listen to this mechanic. So what I failed to mention is the friend, actually, her husband has a shop and has had a shop for 30 years. And so she's very familiar and even said to her husband, here's what's going on, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, the woman ends up going back to the mechanic. The mechanic's looking at the car. He still tells her it's the same problem he told her before. For whatever reason, she's like, no, everyone is wrong except for AI, and continues to like try to find a mechanic who will agree with her that the problem that she's having is the problem that AI said. Well, no mechanic will agree with her because it does not exist. And so finally, she goes to a third mechanic who now tells her that the problem has gotten worse and is charging her twice as much as what the original mechanic had given her as an estimate. All right, so that's story 1. Story 2 is around the doctor's office. So we will say this person's name is Dave. Again, remember, we're changing the names to protect the guilty. And Dave has been having some serious pain. So instead of going to his GP, general practitioner, he decides that he's going to go on handy dandy AI and put in his symptoms, and AI is going to spit out some stuff, and then he'll be able to do it, which is what happens. Unfortunately, AI spits out things that are actually not his problem. So he ends up calling his doctor, and then he says to his doctor that he thinks he has this rare disease. And his doctor's like, "What do you mean you have a rare disease?" And Dave starts telling him the symptoms and the cause of this disease and why he has this disease. So his doctor says to him, "Have you traveled to any countries that would have this particular ailment?" And he's like, "Well, no." "Okay, well, could you come in for me to check you out?" And he's like, "Well, why do I need to do that? Because I used AI to diagnose me." And so the doctor, in frustration with Dave, says, "Look, I went to medical school. I have over 20 years experience. And part of going to medical school isn't so that I can just type in my patient's symptoms into software and it spits out what's happening to them. It's being able to do a diagnostic. It's learning how to think critically. It's learning to see more than just what you're telling me, but actually look at your body as well as your tests to be able to come up with a solution. So if you would allow me to do what I was trained to do, I bet you I'll come up with a solution for you. But I need you to physically come in." Well, Dave waits and waits because he's really upset, and he even thinks, he's telling other people his doctor's not being helpful, And finally, he decides to go in to see the doctor. And the doctor does a diagnostic, sits down, talks to him, and says, "You do not have a major disease that's going to kill you. You actually have X." Again, we won't say what's going on with him because we have to protect the guilty. So he's upset because now he feels that AI has lied to him. Now, both these two examples are examples of people putting in things and not trusting professionals, right? And not really using deductive reasoning skills to think about, is this a possible solution or not? Here's my third story, Lisa. I know, I'm coming to it, I promise. My third story is something that actually happened to me. So I was invited to speak at an association, and I'm at the association speaking. And what I'm speaking on is actually how to build experiential learning activities into your training. And so there's a woman in the audience. So I've had them doing all different activities because all my talks are very interactive. That's part of what I do. And so I have a woman that's in the audience that, for whatever reason, she's decided that she does not need someone to show her this, even though she came, like, she's there. Granted, I was the keynote, so I guess she didn't have really a choice. I was the keynote, so there you have it. So anyway, so I'm giving my talk and she raises her hand and she says to me, "Well, I just, on my phone, went into ChatGPT and it came out with all these different activities. So why would I even need someone like you?" And I said to her, "Okay, how about this? At the end of this talk, I'm planning on giving you something that you can take with you. It's a one-pager that actually kind of walks through the framework that I shared with you today, but more importantly, actually gives you diagnostic questions to evaluate whether or not your activity that you are creating will be a benefit to the program, the training, the event, the facilitation that you're doing. I would love it if you actually held up, actually use what your ChatGPT told you, actually use it in with your team, and then use a diagnostic to actually evaluate the effectiveness of that activity that you came up with." And I said, and on the bottom is my contact information as well as on the screen. So if you would be so kind, I'd love to hear what happens. And so she agrees. She's like, "Sure, I'll do it." And so about a month goes by. I hadn't heard anything, hadn't even thought about it, to be honest with you, at that point. And then I get an email from this woman. It was a very lovely email where she explained to me that she did the activity that she got from ChatGPT and that it failed. it was cumbersome, it was difficult to follow, it didn't really have the things that the team was looking for. And then when she held it up against the diagnostic that was on the sheet that I gave her, it actually got a low score, and it got her thinking about why it didn't work. So the questions that I had there actually helped her think about why the activity didn't actually work with her team. All right, so I'm going to give you the answer, Lisa, that I gave her as a response to that email. And here's what I said to her. I thanked her for not only doing the activity, but following up with me and letting me know what happened. And what I said to her is, I'm actually not against people using technology. I love for people to use technology, but I also want you to remember that the field of study that's required to build these, the knowledge that people have, the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, you get what I'm saying, years of experience that culminate for people to be able to do this work, to be considered professionals in their field, means that they've had a lot of experience. They've actually tried out these things. They know why it works and why it doesn't work. And they're using their deductive reasoning when they're building these activities. Critical skills are really important in the world of AI. You cannot just accept for face value what is spit out to you on AI. You have to be able to use your own critical thinking skills to really recognize if this is a valid output or not. So that's one. Two, you also have to be able to understand if you're going to use technology, those years of experience allows you to be able to form the right questions, which are really what we call prompts in AI, to be able to have AI support you and help you to be able to create what it is that you're trying to create, or to research what you're trying to research. That's really important. So I'm not against people using technology. What I am saying is that you cannot replace the ability for the human who has the knowledge, the nuance, the understanding of how these things actually affect other humans. They cannot be replaced by AI. And that's the important point. So Lisa, while I appreciate that you want to go, well, I could streamline my processes, which is a benefit for using AI, the reality is that when you are trying to build human skills in your business, when you're trying to really be able to have people adopt these critical skills to improve your business, AI is not the place. This is not the place where you can replace a human. If anything, this is a place where you'll need to lean into a human that has years of experience, that really understands the nuance of how people learn, why things are effective and why things are ineffective, and how to build a program that gives you the right results that you're looking for your team. Or more importantly, really being able to build the connections that your team needs. That's the point of, if you're going to use AI, why you should use it really with the human factor. So Lisa, I hope those three stories illustrate the importance of, we have professionals in fields, in automotive, in medicine, and also in training, that have been educated and have years of experience that can really support your business and what your company is doing. So again, I'm not against you using AI, but AI cannot replace the human factor that you need to build the critical skills that we're all going to need as we move on into the new world of work. All right, so I will see everyone next week. Same time, same place. I hope that helps, and I'll talk to you all soon.